Hey, this is Brian with ActiveMelody.com. You'll have to pardon me this week, I have a little bit of a cold. But the point of this week's micro lesson is to learn different voicings for a minor chord. And you want to be able to play them in different positions on the neck. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, if you're writing your own music, or maybe you're at a jam session and the song happens to be in a minor key, you're not just stuck playing them in one place. That's a kind of a boring scenario. So we're going to learn how to play minor chords in different positions up the neck. Alright, so this will be the short version, short and sweet. If you like the extended version, which has a lot more detail, I'll give you some tips on how you can easily connect the dots between these different chord voicings. And the tablature, you can get that by going to activemelody.com/micro and do a search for ML021. That's a lesson number for this lesson. So let's go ahead and break this down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be in the key of G. And it's going to be G minor, in fact. So we're going to have a G minor as our 1 chord, a C minor as our 4 chord, minor 4 chord, and then a D minor as our 5 chord. Now if you were playing a blues at a blues jam, and that was the song, let's say you were doing All Your Love, the Otis Rush classic, and let's say you were doing it in the key of G, and maybe you're playing rhythm. And by the way, this stuff will apply to your lead playing as well, but we're going to be focusing on rhythm in this. You know, your natural inclination is to just stay on a chord and just keep strumming it until it's time for the 4 chord. But that's kind of boring, and that's a good way to put yourself and the audience to sleep sometimes, right? So what you want to do is think about some different ways to voice that. So if you have a G minor here, you've also got a G minor here and a G minor up here. And that's what we're going to be learning. So that's why we're doing it, is so that you can quickly think about playing them in different voicings to really spice up your rhythm playing. Alright, so let's break down the different voicings. Well, I'll be very brief in this. So the first chord shape we're going to look at, it's your, think of these 2 fingers as your E minor chord, right? We slide it up here to your 5th fret, so that's 5th fret, strings 4 and 3, and then we bar there in the 3rd fret. There's your G minor. Think of that as chord voicing number 1. Now the next one, if you look at your minor pentatonic scale, right, where that note is, if you put your index finger there, you can build another minor chord right around that, starting with your index finger. Now what I've got there is I've got my index finger on the 6th fret 1st string, my pinky is on the 8th fret 2nd string, my middle finger is on the 7th fret 3rd string, my ring finger is on the 8th fret 4th string. You've got a little D minor chord shape in the middle of that. I know you know that, right? The D minor chord shape. But you've got it up here. Just connect it to this one, and that's why I was mentioning the minor pentatonic scale. So voicing 1, voicing 2, and then voicing 3 is up here. And really what that is, if I were to make a full bar chord and play all 5 strings, that chord shape, these 3 fingers are making the A minor chord. So think of that. If you slide it all the way up to here and then you bar, that's a G minor. And again, I go into more detail in the other video of how you can think about this. But let me just show you how to play it. I'm not actually playing the full bar. I'm just playing the top 3 strings, which make a little stair step, so it's very easy to grab. So index finger on the 10th fret 1st string, middle finger on the 11th fret 2nd string, and then ring finger on the 12th fret 3rd string. So now you have G minor, and G minor. And those are really the same 3 voicings that we're going to use for all these minor chords. So when we go to the C minor chord, I'm just making, you can see right there, there's your little stair step, right? But I'm making the full chord just to give it a little more punch. So that's your A minor shape. So there's that. And then the next version would be up here. So you've got your 8th fret. Remember how we started this one? By making this E chord shape? Well, here it is, just moved up to, so that I'm barring the 8th fret. Now I don't play the full chord like that, I just play the top 4 strings out of the chord. So there's your A minor. And then the next voicing, remember we take our pentatonic scale, and then we put our index finger there as an anchor. So now you have another voicing up here. So you have C minor, C minor, C minor. And that's really it. The same thing applies over the 5 chord. So you got your D minor. So anytime you've got your 4 chord and your 5 chord, the 5 chord is always just whatever you did over the 4 chord, you're just sliding it up 2 frets. So if that's your C minor there, slide it up 2 frets. There's your D minor there. There's your D minor there, and so forth. Now you start to run out of room up here, depending on the guitar you're using. On this guitar, I have out of room, but that's okay because remember, after the 12th fret, the guitar resets itself. So if you can't make something up here, you can just make it down here. So that would be a D minor down here. Okay, so now we're going to play a simple little composition to help you connect the chord voicings in your brain so that when you think G minor, you don't just see it here, you see it here and you see it here as well. And here's what this is going to sound like. Very simple. Down, up, down, down, up, down. That's the right hand. And then we're going to do that over the C minor chord. Now, over the C minor chord, I didn't use all three. I just thought it sounded better to use two. So it sounds like that. Now for the D minor, same thing as we did over the 4 chord. Back to the 4 chord, and then back to the 1 chord. And that would be a great way to practice that. And you could use a metronome for that, or tap your foot, or something that helps you stay in rhythm. Now the final step to really help cement this in your mind is to be able to play this in a different key. So we were learning everything in the key of G, but what if the song was in the key of F minor? Well, it's easy. You would just take everything. We start with that root. So there's your F minor chord, right? And then we play everything off that chord shape that we just started with. So try that. Try doing it in different keys. Do it in the key of G, do it in the key of F, do it in G sharp, and then do it up in the key of C. That's going to force you to think about maybe you don't start with this. Maybe you start with this instead. I don't know. But you've got the different voicings. You can start to work those into your playing now.